Jimi Hendrix once said one guitarist was better than himself. Steve Vai openly said another was the greatest player who ever lived. Yet the spotlight somehow passed them by. Some guitar legends had unreal skill but never got the fame. Others were taken out by band drama, timing, or the industry moving on without them. These players were not just competing with legends. In many cases, they could outplay them. And still, most people barely recognize their names. Here are 12 overlooked guitarists who outplayed the legends. Number 12, Elliot Easton. Elliot Easton came out of Berkeley with serious jazz fusion chops that rivaled nearly anyone in the 1980s. But once the Cars exploded as a new wave pop band, his guitar work got buried under synthesizers and radio-friendly hooks. Songs like Let's Go and My Best Friend's Girl were packed with sharp shredding, yet critics brushed him off as just another new wave guitarist. While Rick Ocasek pulled most of the attention, the guy in the sunglasses slowly faded into the background. Listen closely to Just What I Needed, and you will hear precise fretwork that most guitarists could never pull off. The Shake It Up solo is pure rock virtuosity hidden inside pop songwriting. Easton moved easily between jazz, rockabilly, and blues, all executed clean and controlled. But massive commercial success worked against him, causing critics to write off his technical ability entirely. Now 70 years old and still playing, most people have no idea they are hearing one of the most technically accomplished guitarists of his generation. The Cars sold over 23 million albums, and the guitar work on every one of them remains criminally underrated. Number 11, Rik Emmett, Triumph. Triumph needed more than just a guitarist. They needed someone who could play lead guitar, sing lead vocals, and write the songs. Rik Emmett filled all three roles without blinking. Tracks like Lay It on the Line and Magic Power showed how he blended classical training with hard rock force. The solo on Fight the Good Fight stands as a masterclass in melodic shredding. With classical guitar training from York University, Emmett could shift seamlessly from fingerstyle acoustic passages to blazing electric leads. Midsummer's Daydream highlights his classical depth, while Allied Forces delivers pure rock aggression. What Steve Vai would later make famous was already happening here a decade earlier. Triumph sold millions of records in Canada but never broke through in the US the way they deserved. Leaving the band in 1988 to focus on jazz and classical music only confirmed what fans already knew. He was too talented to be boxed into one genre. At 71, he is still playing, still sharp, still overlooked. Number 10, Danny Kirwan, Fleetwood Mac. Before Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks turned Fleetwood Mac into a pop giant, real guitar magic was already happening. Danny Kirwan joined the band at just 18 years old, working alongside Peter Green and helping write Albatross, one of the most beautiful instrumentals in rock history. His slide work on Oh Well and intricate finger-picking on Danny's Chant showed a player far beyond his years. His tone was haunting and melodic, capable of making a guitar sound like it was crying on songs like Station Man. Mental health struggles and alcoholism slowly derailed everything. During a 1972 U.S. tour, he smashed a guitar, refused to go on stage, and was fired from the band on the spot. The Buckingham-Nicks era erased him from the story almost completely. Kirwan spent decades drifting, homeless and forgotten, before dying alone in a London hostel in 2018 at age 68. Mick Fleetwood later called him a brilliant guitarist whose contributions were essential. By then, the world had already forgotten Danny Kirwan. Number 9, Phil Keaggy. Losing half of the middle finger on his right hand at age 4 should have ended any chance at a guitar career. Instead, it helped shape one of the greatest fingerstyle players ever recorded. His technical ability rivals nearly any guitarist alive today, but being tied to the Christian rock label kept him from becoming a household name, even as his skill quietly surpassed most of his peers. Great Anticipation and The Wind in the Wheat stand as acoustic masterpieces, built on finger-picking patterns that feel almost impossible to replicate. The control, speed, and precision put him in a rare category few acoustic players ever reach. On the electric side, All Our Wishes proves he could shred with anyone alive. This was not just tasteful playing. This was full technical firepower when he chose to unleash it. He was also way ahead of his time. In the 1980s, he was already pioneering live looping, building full compositions on stage using only a guitar and loop pedals. This was happening decades before looping became mainstream and long before it was seen as trendy. Paul McCartney reportedly called him one of the best guitarists in the world. Yet being tied to the Christian music label meant most mainstream rock fans never even heard his name. Now 73 years old with over 60 albums released, genre pigeonholing robbed him of the recognition his skill demanded. The talent was always there. The exposure never followed. Number 8, Martin Barre, Jethro Tull. Spending 43 years with Jethro Tull should make someone legendary by default. Instead, Ian Anderson's flute solos and one-legged stage antics pulled most of the spotlight away. Martin Barre's distinctive tone defined songs like Aqualung, Locomotive Breath, and Cross-Eyed Mary. That crunchy, aggressive sound on the opening riff of Aqualung created one of the most recognizable guitar moments in rock history. The solo on Aqualung is controlled chaos, slowly building from melodic phrasing into a full distorted assault. Locomotive Breath rides on relentless rhythm guitar that drives the entire track from start to finish. Barre handled progressive rock complexity while keeping a raw blues edge, a balance that made Jethro Tull sound unlike anyone else. Through endless lineup changes and Anderson's rotating cast of musicians, Barre stayed the constant. He recorded 43 studio and live albums with the band, won a Grammy, and influenced generations of progressive rock guitarists. Yet ask casual rock fans who played guitar in Jethro Tull, and most will not have an answer. That silence says everything. Number 7, Rory Gallagher. Rory Gallagher's Fender Stratocaster was so worn down from decades of non-stop playing that the finish was completely stripped off. That guitar told the story of an Irish blues rock master who played over 1,000 shows. He influenced players from the Edge to Slash, yet never reached true superstar status in the United States. Jimi Hendrix once called him the best guitarist in the world. Tracks like A Million Miles Away and Shadow Play showcased raw emotion and power. The live album Irish Tour 74 is widely considered one of the greatest live rock recordings ever, packed with extended blues workouts that showed total command of the instrument. The instrumental Bullfrog Blues features slide guitar so fearless it makes other blues players sound cautious by comparison. Roughly 30 million albums were sold worldwide, mostly across Europe. American radio never fully embraced him, and commercial success never matched the talent. He died in 1995 at age 47 from liver failure, worn down by decades of constant touring and heavy living. The guitar gods knew his name. The wider world should have, too. Number 6, John Sykes, Thin Lizzy and Whitesnake. At just 23 years old, John Sykes stepped into Thin Lizzy after legends like Gary Moore and Brian Robertson had already left their mark. That was not an easy seat to fill. His work on Thunder and Lightning proved he belonged, delivering aggressive twin guitar harmonies alongside Scott Gorham while pushing the band into heavier territory. Then came Whitesnake and one of the most iconic guitar solos of the 1980s on Still of the Night. That solo remains a rite of passage for aspiring rock guitarists, blending neoclassical speed with blues-drenched bends. His rhythm work on Is This Love and lead playing on Here I Go Again helped Whitesnake's 1987 album sell over 8 million copies. Then David Coverdale fired him before the tour. His chops matched players like Satriani and Eddie Van Halen, but getting pushed out of bands at peak performance became a repeating pattern. His solo albums showed extreme virtuosity, but without the backing of a major band, mainstream attention faded fast. At 67, he is still playing at a high level, still sharp, still underappreciated. Before moving on to number 5, take a second and think about this. How many of these guitarists had you actually heard of before this video? And which one caught you off guard the most? Drop a comment and say where you are watching from. Viewers are tuning in from Dublin to Detroit, from London to Los Angeles. If you are learning something new, hit the like button and keep the conversation moving. Now let's get into number 5. Number 5, Alvin Lee, 10 years after. At Woodstock in 1969, 500,000 people watched Alvin Lee tear through I'm Going Home at blistering speed. His fingers moved across the fretboard faster than most people had ever seen at that point. That performance turned him into a legend for one night. But long-term commercial success never lined up with his technical ability. 10 years after sold millions of albums, yet Lee remained stuck in the shadow of Hendrix, Clapton, and Page. Tracks like Love Like a Man showed his mix of blues and rock delivered with machine gun precision. The extended live versions of I'm Going Home remain a benchmark for speed and endurance, with Lee holding breakneck tempos for over 10 minutes without slowing down. His Gibson ES-335 became an extension of his body, producing a tone that was both warm and aggressive. He could switch between slide, fingerstyle, and flat picking without missing a step. Songs like I'd Love to Change the World proved he was not just about speed. He could write melodic, memorable guitar parts that stuck with listeners. Lee died in 2013 at age 68, still underappreciated by many mainstream rock fans who never realized they had witnessed one of the fastest guitarists to ever live. Number 4, Jan Akkerman, Focus. When Focus released Hocus Pocus in 1971, radio stations had no idea what to do with it. Yodeling, flute breaks, rapid-fire solos, and wild guitar runs did not fit any standard format. Guitarists paid attention immediately. Akkerman blended classical, flamenco, and rock into a style that felt completely original, influencing players from Eddie Van Halen to Steve Vai. The solo on Hocus Pocus moves from delicate finger-picking to full-throttle rock in seconds. His instrumental Eruption came 7 years before Van Halen's famous track and clearly showed his classical foundation. Acoustic work on Sylvia displayed flamenco technique that rivaled dedicated flamenco players. Focus achieved massive success across Europe, but American radio never fully embraced them. Akkerman topped multiple Best Guitarist in the World polls during the 1970s, beating out Page, Clapton, and Beck. Yet most American rock fans still do not recognize his name. Now 77 years old, he is still playing and still overlooked by the country that needed to hear him the most. Number 3, Danny Gatton. Guitar Player magazine once called Danny Gatton the world's greatest unknown guitarist. In 1989, Steve Vai went even further, saying Danny Gatton comes closer than anyone else to being the best guitar player that ever lived. Despite that praise, Gatton never reached mainstream success. He died in 1994 at age 49, leaving behind a reputation that spread mostly through word of mouth. His technical ability was so high it reportedly made other guitarists give up. Gatton could play anything put in front of him. Blues, jazz, rockabilly, and country all flowed effortlessly from his battered 1953 Telecaster. What he lacked in fame, he more than made up for in pure ability. Among musicians, his name carries serious weight. Outside that circle, he remains one of rock's great mysteries. His instrumental nitpickin' puts everything on display at once. Rapid-fire country jazz runs, pedal steel bends, Les Paul-style melodic phrasing, and slide guitar all packed into a single track. It sounded effortless, but very few players could even attempt it. Joe Walsh studied Gatton's playing closely, especially on free-form guitar, and later admitted, "In some places I had no idea how he was getting his guitar to sound like that." That confusion came from technique that did not follow normal rules. Other guitarists nicknamed him the Humbler because he destroyed everyone during head-cutting jam sessions. His Grammy-nominated Elmira Street Boogie proved he could channel 1950s rockabilly better than most players who actually lived through that era. Record labels never knew what to do with him. Gatton refused to be boxed into one genre, and that refusal cost him real stardom. Depression took him before the world ever caught up to what he was doing. Number 2, Terry Kath, Chicago. In 1969, Jimi Hendrix walked into the Whiskey A Go-Go and watched Chicago perform. After the set, he went backstage and told saxophonist Walt Perazeder, "Your guitar player is better than me." Hendrix later called Terry Kath the best guitarist in the universe, then hired Chicago to tour with him. That was the level Kath was operating on. Kath's 7-minute freeform guitar piece from Chicago's 1969 debut album featured proto-tapping techniques and experimental sounds a full decade before Eddie Van Halen's Eruption. He was already exploring territory most players had not even imagined. His solo on 25 or 6-4 remains one of rock's most explosive guitar moments. Angular, aggressive, and perfectly controlled. At the same time, ballads like Color My World showed his ability to play with restraint and deep emotion. Joe Walsh studied Kath's playing obsessively and still could not fully figure out how he did what he did. Chicago's horn section often stole the spotlight, and as the band leaned further into radio-friendly pop, Kath's guitar brilliance was slowly buried. On January 23, 1978, Kath accidentally shot himself while cleaning a gun. He was just 31 years old. The world lost a guitarist that Jimi Hendrix himself had bowed down to. Number 1, Allan Holdsworth. Eddie Van Halen called him the best guitarist in the world. Frank Zappa tried to hire him multiple times. Steve Vai said studying Holdsworth's playing was like looking at another species. Yet Allan Holdsworth died in 2017 at age 70, with most of the world never knowing his name. He was the ultimate guitarist's guitarist, a player worshipped by legends and ignored by the mainstream. Holdsworth's approach to the guitar was completely revolutionary. He thought in terms of saxophone lines rather than traditional guitar phrasing, creating fluid legato runs that broke conventional technique. Albums like Devil Take the Hindmost and Metal Fatigue showcased harmonic complexity so deep that even trained jazz musicians struggled to analyze it. His phrasing sounded unearthly, smooth, and impossible to copy accurately. He also helped pioneer the Synthax, a guitar synthesizer that expanded what the instrument could even do. His fusion albums Out of Akron and Secrets influenced generations of progressive metal and jazz fusion players. Holdsworth's chord voicings were so unusual that guitarists still argue over how he fingered them. He played with bands like UK, Soft Machine, and Gong, but his solo work is where his true voice lived. Despite being worshipped by the elite of the guitar world, Holdsworth never achieved financial success. He lived modestly and died broke, overlooked by the industry he reshaped. These guitarists all shared something in common. Talent was never the problem. Skill was never the problem. Timing, marketing, image, and industry politics decided who became immortal and who got pushed to the margins. Some of them were praised quietly by legends while being ignored by the mainstream. Others sold millions of records, but still had their playing misunderstood or dismissed. A few were simply too advanced for the era they lived in, speaking a musical language most listeners were not ready to hear. What makes these stories hit harder is that none of this was accidental. Labels chose simplicity over depth. Radio chose familiarity over risk. and audiences were often told who the heroes were before they ever had a chance to listen closely. These players shaped entire genres without getting credit for it. Their techniques were borrowed, studied, and absorbed by famous names who went on to define eras. Yet the originators stayed in the shadows, known mostly by other musicians and serious fans. That does not erase what they did. Every solo, every riff, every live performance still exists. The records are still there. The influence is still alive every time a modern guitarist bends a note a certain way, phrases a run differently, or reaches for emotion instead of flash. If this list surprised you, that is the point. Rock history is bigger than the names on magazine covers. There is always more happening just beneath the surface. So now it is your turn. How many of these guitarists did you already know before watching this? Which one do you think was the most overlooked? Drop a comment and let people know where you are watching from. Those conversations help keep these names alive. If you learned something new, take a second to like the video. It helps more than you might think. And if you want more deep dives into the stories behind the music, make sure you subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next. There are still plenty of untold stories left. More players who changed everything without getting the spotlight. We will keep digging. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.